So I'm trying to get my bike in for a new rear tire, and I bought a used shock on eBay, rear shock, and heavier spring. I'm a big guy. But I looked at some videos on YouTube University about installing a shock, and while it looks potentially doable, um, I'm going to take it down to my local mechanic, who luckily is very local. Not cheap, but local. So, yeah. So Brebbia Coral, smoking some, what am I smoking in here? I don't know. Chances are good it's Balkan Supreme. So, some days are just like this, where, okay, the bike was a little dirty. I just spent 5 days in eastern Washington. And it did rain a little bit over there, unusually enough. And so I was riding on some dirt roads, and it gets pretty dirty pretty quick. So the bike was kind of messy. But of course it ran flawlessly. It's a Honda NC700X. Just super reliable. So I back it down my walkway close to the hose it off, clean it up, try and start it to take it down to my mechanic. Click, click, click. No warning lights. The headlight looks real bright. There has been no hint of any problem. So I had to go downtown anyway, so I checked with the mechanic, and I told him I'm trying to get it down to him. He said, and we put a expensive Yuasa battery in last year. Previous battery had been in there for like 12 years. So it's not particularly hard on batteries. So he said, well, these newer Yuasa batteries have a valve in them. And below a certain voltage, it will just basically shut off. And I know on the Victory, there was a warning that, below 10.8 volts or something, the engine won't start because it needs that voltage to, the spark maybe? Probably, versus the fuel injection. And I could hear the fuel injection pump coming on the Honda. But it just hit the starter motor and just click, click. Now that was after I'd washed it. But it's been in the rain, a lot, and never had a problem. The one thing I did when I came back, left-handed. I'm just not talented with my left hand. So when I came back over Chinook Pass, over the Cascades, it rained and was quite chilly. I mean, it was in the low 40s. So when I started out, it was in the 90s, and I really hadn't brought the right gear. So I had everything on. And I have this little electric bib that goes down the front, keeps the wind from hitting you, but also provides heat to your chest. It's a great idea from Aerostitch. So I had that plugged directly into the battery. So all I can think of is maybe I kind of got the battery a little bit discharged by doing that. It should be pretty low draw, and the bike should be able to keep up with that. And there were no warning lights or anything. Mechanical stuff, I tell you, sometimes it is just a nightmare. But I would not buy another Yuasa battery for that reason. Because now I had it on the charger and it was showing full, green, green, green. And now that it actually started, now it's showing that it's charging, solidly charging. So something tells me that Yuasa battery is the culprit here. But you'd hate to be stranded. bike has a dual clutch automatic, 6 speed, so you can't roll start it. You can't bump start it. Now, some bikes you can't bump start either because they uh, they need that minimum voltage. So, like the Victory, for instance, if it's below 10.8 volts, it's not going to bump start even. So, um, it's just the modern way, but it's a pain in the ass. So, but the Honda has been just a paragon of reliability. So I was kind of amazed, actually, that it was not responding to my touch. Start, damn it. Tomorrow's Pipe Club, Kitsap Pipe Club. It's there's going to be a barbecue, I think, so that should be good. We had a health fair at work today, and normally I like to go down there and get my finger pricked and give a little drop of blood so they can do my blood sugar and my cholesterol. It just keeps just an additional bit of data for you, you know, without having to go to your doctor's office. So, of course, that particular element of the health fair had bagged out because of COVID somehow. I don't know. So I was fasting for a better test result overnight, and I was a little cranky. It was like, wow, I'm cranky. Yeah, with the bike not starting, and then, but we just wish things were a certain way, and we get angry when they're not. And it's a fantasy. I mean, yeah, you can expect a little continuity with your transportation starting. It started for the last 2 years every single time, no matter what. But that's just an expectation, and that is just a fantasy, honestly. And I wish that they were giving cholesterol and blood sugar testing down there, but they're not. So it's like, get over it. Hmm. It's all a good lesson. There's lessons every minute. Last night I was trying to print a banner for the Human Services Department for their table down at the health fair. Easy peasy. I do it all the time for different people. Well, she sent me a PDF, an Adobe Acrobat file, which is great, but sometimes Acrobat bakes in printing stuff, and it just would not print in a banner form. I was kind of crazy. So wasted like 4 sheets of paper trying it different ways. Finally, I just made an image out of it, exported it to an image, not in Acrobat, in a third-party little Acrobat-like program, and then brought it into the GIS and printed it from there, which is no fuss, no muss, large format printing. So that worked out great. But you have to have these little workarounds, you know. So I went down to the bike store or the bike shop there. Bert said, "Well, check your battery connections. Make sure they're on solid. It's possible something could have slipped." Well, there's no indication of that. No hesitancy. No spontaneous cutting out. No, any of that. But I thought, okay, that's fine. Batteries in the frunk, behind a screwed-in panel, and the screws just would not come out. It's just one of those days, you know. So finally, and they use those cheap pot metal screws, you know, everybody does. So I stripped one of them. So I had to use a vice grip and, you know, just tug on it and turn it at the same time in a limited space. It was like, sometimes I'm not a very good shade tree mechanic. But it was a great time east of the mountains. Had a really fun time. And that warm weather, oh, it's so nice. So nice. So we're supposed to, starting tonight, have a week of rain here on the wet side. Not ready for it. Lots of firewood to cut. All kinds of little projects to finish up here while it's dry and warmish, like painting stuff, you know. But we'll see. See if it gets done. Neighbors are finishing up their roof. You can hear the nail gun going in. Pop, 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 pop. So anyway, yeah, it's our expectations that get us into trouble. It's not the reality. The reality just is. Two stripped out screws to get to the battery. Well, it just is, you know.